So the year is 2019. I'm living in Las Vegas with my then girlfriend. We're in our studio apartment. I'm sitting on the floor because we had no furniture. I was struggling. I was down bad tremendously. I was flat broke. Me and my girl just had a fight. She actually kicked me out the crib. And I'm just walking around. This was like right before the pandemic. And I'm just walking around like, what the hell's going on with my life? I gotta get my life together. And I felt so emasculated. I felt like a bum. I'm like, I'm way smarter than this. Like, I have to get my life together. I don't like this feeling of not being able to fend for myself. I was living off my girl. She was paying the bills and her savings were going down, and I'm trying to figure things out. I couldn't get a job and I felt low. And shortly after, I actually ended up moving in with my girl and her mom in their place. Super low time for me mentally, physically as well. I tore my ACL. I was on my way to Girona, Spain. I played basketball, and then my dreams got taken from underneath me. So in essence, I lost my identity because basketball was who I was. It was how I got through high school, how I got through college. All my friends are basketball players. Like, it was my entire identity. Like, I fell into a low mental state for a little while, and I was embarrassed. I was emasculated, and I was lost. But looking back at that time, I needed to go through those tough seasons, that tough time in my life, and little by little, I picked myself up and I was able to get myself out of that mental disparity. And I was able to transform my life and, pick myself up. And when I look at who I am now, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I'm in a really good state. And it's just amazing, like, how I got through that tough time in my life, because I was really low. So, what's good, fellas? Welcome back to another video. I titled this video, actually, what did I title this video? I gotta look at my fucking notes. Oh yeah, the 10 Tenets of Masculine Transformation. That story got me all disoriented. Like, I was really reliving that tough season. But I titled this video, the 10 Tenets of Masculine Transformation. I'm gonna talk to you guys about how I was able to pick myself out of mental disparity. All throughout my life, I've had like 2 to 3 year pockets where I've been low, like financially, physically, emotionally, all throughout my life. So I want to talk to you guys about the 10 tenets that I, utilized in my life to pick myself out of mental pitfalls and be able to build myself up financially, emotionally, spiritually, and just become a better man. That being said, let's get started with the video. Number 1. I had to check myself. I told you guys that I always check myself. I'm always real and honest with myself. I had to check myself and start holding myself to a higher standard. You see, when I was low financially, spiritually, emotionally, feeling sad for myself, I had to tell myself to stop being a bitch. And I had to say, yo, you're a young man. This is only one chapter of your life. Don't let this one chapter define the whole book. The book doesn't have to end right here, right? And so I had to tell myself, yo, if your life was a book, how would your story end? How would you want your story to end? And that just gave me perspective. It helped me put things into perspective. Like, I'm a young 20-something-year-old kid feeling bad for myself that I'm broke. Like, I'm a young kid. Like, I'm a young man. I'm figuring things out. And I think I got caught up comparing myself to people on social media, and also my other friends who had signed their contracts and they went overseas and they were hooping, doing their thing, and I blew out my knee. I found myself comparing myself to other people, and that was one of my downfalls. So I had to start holding myself to a higher standard, and then that's really when I started getting into business. And also in that same apartment in Vegas where I was sitting on the floor because we had no furniture, I wrote my first 2 ebooks and I started selling my first digital products, right? So I started finding myself again. I had always been a hustler because growing up in Queens, New York, especially, as Haitians, we all had to hustle. So I remember I used to take my older brother's CDs and I would burn them. For those of you guys who are older than 24, 25, you should know what burning a CD is, right? I would like burn CDs and I would go to school and sell them at like $5 a pop. So at 11, 12 years old, I'm making a good $350 a week, right? So I had to rediscover myself once I got myself out of that like mental pitfall and tell myself, yo, keep your head up, Dud. Like, hold yourself to high esteem. Hold yourself to a higher standard. You're going to make it through. Just keep figuring it out. You always do. You see, in the times of dark seasons, guys, you have to be able to have positive self-talk. We all have self-talk, but most of us have negative self-talk. You see, I had to tell myself, yo, we always make it through. We always make it through. Like this ain't the first time that you've been homeless. Like, come on. You always find a way, right, Dud? And I had to have this type of inner dialogue with myself, and that just helped me make it one day at a time. One day at a time. And then little by little, the work I was putting in those days started to compound. I started working different jobs at FedEx. I was serving. I was doing all type of stuff, but I wasn't going to be broke. I told myself, nah, we cannot be broke, man. And then I ended up getting my surgery. So this was the first tenet of getting myself out of that mental despair and really transforming myself as a man, which is holding myself to a higher standard, right? Looking at myself as if I was the man that I always wanted to be. Being proud of who I saw in the mirror. Number 2, I had to move in silence. You see, I always had a tendency to want to tell people, yo, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this. You should support me. You should do that. Man, nobody supported me like that, bro. And it's funny because as you get older, you tend to realize that people that are furthest from you, like that don't know you that well, they'll support you more sometimes than your own family and friends, unfortunately. Thank God I have some good friends. But people from like different cities or people that don't know you will support you more than home. And like, I gotta be honest, that used to hurt my feelings, bro. So I really just had to start moving in silence, keep my head down, started building up my business. As I grew as an entrepreneur, I created new products, the books, the digital marketing course, different services, and I just started working. And it was tough because I didn't make no money like that for a good minute. I had some good months, right? And then there were like 6 months where it was just tumbleweeds, you feel me? But that's the journey of entrepreneurship and life. Like, it's tough, but either way, I had to learn how to shut my mouth and move in silence and just keep digging, keep my nose down and just keep working, keep getting smarter. Number 3, guys, I started taking my health way more seriously. You see, I used to be vegan for 6 years, but a lot of that time I was also eating a lot of mock meats and like processed stuff. So I started really learning about, real healthy foods. I started diving into herbs, getting into different chemicals, educating myself on different chemicals that they put in food, especially in the States. And I started to really honor my body. I started to stay away from food dyes and certain chemicals that are neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors, certain seed oils. I started staying away from all that stuff and really valuing my body. And as I began to really value my body, I began to feel way better. Less fake sugars, all the salt, all the toxins. I started to really value my body on top of the physical activity that I was doing. Basketball, all the different types of training I was doing. I started to make everything more cohesive. You see, I always thought that since I had such a high activity level because I played basketball, I could almost escape eating a bad diet. And for a while, I could. But then, as you're eating all these fake foods, your knees start to get inflamed. You start to feel different. And to really transform myself and my mindset as well, I had to really start eating clean. I mean, organic everything. I mean, staying away from processed foods as much as I can, because even if you don't realize, that stuff does affect your brain. It affects the chemistry of your brain. And so I really had to dive deep on that. And that ultimately enabled me to slowly transform myself. Number 4, guys, is I had to stop sleeping around with women that I wasn't really fully attracted to. I'm talking about like sixes. I had to stop just saying, oh well, she's okay. I really had to learn how to value myself. You see, that's a whole nother topic, but yeah, I had to really be honest with myself, and I had to take a real look at myself and say, if I don't have an actual connection with a woman, or for example, if I'm dating a girl and things are going well, but eventually things start to fizzle out and we're growing to be two different people, I'm not just gonna exit the relationship. I'm still gonna try, but if we're just two completely different people and we want different things, I'm not gonna just stay because we have history, especially if she wants to go do something else that's drastic and I want to go do something else. I had to really be honest with myself and say, hey, you gotta know, unfortunately, when to let people go. And so, I ended up separating with this ex of mine, and I wished her the best. It was no hard feelings. It's still all respect for her and her family. But once I was able to get out of that situation, my life just started opening up tremendously, because now I started doing everything that I wanted to do. I started to be able to really focus in on the things that I wanted to focus on. And, I always tell you guys, there's certain seasons that call for a certain percentage of your attention, right? Now, obviously, when you're in a relationship, you have to compromise to a certain extent. You're with somebody else, right? What I found for me is that if it's not going to be a woman that's supportive of what I'm doing, that's going to be on my program, that understands my vision, I don't even spend any time entertaining it. And I really had to let certain situations go in order for me to flourish and transform. The fifth thing I did, guys, was I had to cut out the naysayers in my life. Unfortunately, this also included some family. As I said, people, especially people that are really close to you, they've seen you at different levels. They've seen you as like a little kid. They've seen you when you were dusty. So oftentimes, that's the perception that they have of you, right? And so sometimes when you bring an idea around people who have a small mind, they're not a visionary like you, if you really allow them to, they could break your spirit. You might throw an idea about it and they'll say, oh, why would you want to do that? You can't do that. You're one of us. You're not going to. So it's like I had to really distance myself from certain people and cut off certain fake friends as well, because it wasn't serving me. And I knew where I wanted to go, and where I wanted to go was big. And as I always say, fellas, we have a long way to go, man. I have a lot of work to do. But again, I'm present for the journey. I'm fully present for the process. And I'm enjoying grinding. I'm enjoying working hard to become the best version of myself. But along that journey, I've had to cut off people and, just separate myself from people who didn't believe in what I believed in, right? People who just thought differently. People who honestly started talking shit about me and doubted me. Once I was able to remove myself from that extra baggage, again, I started to flourish. Number 6, guys, the next thing I did to transform my life was I had to stop following people and become my own leader. I talk to you guys all the time about being the CEO of your life, right? You see, I had certain groups that I still would dabble in and hang out with that wasn't conducive to the man that I was trying to be. I was remolding myself, reshaping my identity, becoming a better version of myself. And I realized that I just couldn't hang out with the same people. So the same way that I cut out the naysayers, I had to stop following certain people and become my own leader. I had to lead my life. And as I began to lead my life, it equipped me to lead other people. That's the beautiful thing about this. Number 7, I had to get a schedule. You see, getting a schedule has transformed my life. Me personally, I have a whiteboard, and recently I've been using Google Calendar, and I gotta give credit where credit is due, as I always do as a real man. Shouts out to Brandon Carter. I was watching one of his videos. He was talking about his day, and he was showing how he literally has everything timed down to the T on his Google Calendar, down to his sleep schedule and everything. Now, I've got a whiteboard that I've been using for the last couple of years where I have every task that I do, and I've known what I was going to do for the past 3-4 years every day. But just something about having that Google Calendar to remind you, like a ding goes off, it's 9:35, all right, Dudley, it's time to stretch before bed, it's time to do this before bed. Just having that right there, it is really something different. So that's also something that I've implemented in my life. But you know, when I was in that tough place a couple of years ago, really having a schedule and waking up and having a purpose and knowing what I was working towards and like physically seeing it and then physically checking it off the whiteboard as I went throughout my day, it gave me that positive reinforcement that I really needed to keep going. Because some days, if you just get up and you don't really have anything to do or know what to do, or you have goals but you don't know where to start, you can end up just like sitting down and like feeling sorry for yourself, or just having too many thoughts and saying, damn, well, I could do this, I could do that. Then you start to get like a paralysis and you don't do anything. So having a schedule and checking things off, man, it's been paramount for me actually getting shit done. Number 8, guys, was work on my communication. Man, this has been one of the toughest things for me, guys. I told you guys, you know, I've always been transparent with you guys, told you guys that I had a stutter. And I remember this one opportunity I had. It was back in 2018. And it was for a brand, I'm not going to say who, but they wanted to fly me out to LA to film a sequence for them. Because at the time I had a YouTube channel where I would cook and do different things. If you didn't know, the boy could chef it up too. I'm type nice with it. And I remember we had scheduled a conference call, and like I was just like stuttering like a motherfucker, bro. I was so nervous. I was stuttering like a motherfucker on that call, man. And the deal fell through. I wasn't confident. I was nervous, like a nigga was shaking and shit. And that really ate me, bro. That shit ate me. And I actually ended up writing about that story in my book, Escaping Thyself, where I talk about getting out of the mental pits, like getting out of the like low points of your mind and like depression and overcoming yourself. Like that's one of those pivotal moments in my life where I was like, yo, my stutter is fucking up my money. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, something that I've dealt with since I was a child. I was like, yo, I gotta get this shit under control because it's fucking up with my bread and I have all these goals and I want to help my mom and I want to do this. So I really started taking my communication seriously. I started reading books. I started walking up to random people and speaking. Even if I made a fool out of myself, just getting up the reps of speaking with people. This is when I really started to get to understand people more. Start to talk to different people. And eventually later on, I ended up getting even more therapy. I had therapy as a child, but I got therapy as an adult as well. And working on my communication transformed my life. It's gotten me deals, it's got me crazy opportunities, it's got me good friends, amazing women. Communication is pivotal. It's actually, that's not the word I want to use. It's imperative that you're able to communicate, you know, because I used to feel like a prisoner inside of my own body because I couldn't properly articulate what I was thinking. And to anybody that's ever struggled with a speech impediment, you know how debilitating it can be to not be able to voice your thoughts. I felt like a prisoner behind bars in my own head every day for pretty much my whole life. So, you know, man, I can't stress enough how much working on my communication boosted my confidence. It transformed my life. I became more masculine because I wasn't as passive, because I wasn't worried about stuttering or worried about how I said something. Because like growing up too, like kids would make fun of my accent, right? They would joke on my accent. And just really going through all the mental bullshit that we all go through as young men, as people, you don't realize how much your childhood affects your adulthood until you're an adult and you haven't healed certain traumas and worked on certain things. This is what I always talk to you guys about, doing the dirty work inside as a man, healing your inner child, healing your heart. But working on my communication, man, tell you what, I would not be the man I am today if I did not work on my communication. Not only did I work on my speech, and nobody speaks perfectly, we all stammer and stutter, but not only did I work on my speech, I started learning hella languages, bro. You know what I mean? And I started living all over the world. So, man, this was one of the most important things. The 9th thing I did to transform my life, the tenet that I did to transform my life was I increased my level of integrity, right? I was the same person in private that I was in public, in the sense that I did the right thing, and I do the right thing. Like, even if nobody was around, I still did the right thing. Like, for example, there's been hella little opportunities where some mishap happened. Actually, I'll give you guys an example. This was probably a week and a half ago. I went to this Jamaican restaurant. They got some good oxtails, by the way. She ended up giving me more change back than I should have had, right? The meal was like $25, and I gave her $30, but she gave me the 10 back and just took the 20. I could have been, oh shoot, I got her, man. I got the oxtail for 20. I said, hey, I think you made a mistake. I should get back $5 instead of 10. That's what I mean, that type of level of integrity. I know I could have got away with that, but that's not the point. I'm an honest man. It's about integrity. And when you're like that, bro, God's gonna bless you, bro. Life is gonna bless you, bro. When you do the right things, when you don't necessarily have to, when nobody's gonna know, who you are in private, bro, is so important. And I honestly think and know that this is why so many good things have been happening to me. It's because I have a pure heart, and I'm just, I'm a good person, you know, and I pride myself on being a good person. I try my hardest to do the right things, even when nobody's watching, and I truly believe like this is why I've been getting blessed so much. So having a high level of integrity is one of those things as a man that nobody needs to know. But you know, when you go to sleep, you know if you're a scumbag or not. You know what I mean? And I have a conscience. Like, I did a lot of greasy things in my, you know, past that I'm not proud of. A lot of dirty things. Like, I did some people foul. Like, I used to run up and I did a lot of things I'm not proud of. But the man that I am today, I've completely transformed my life, so I'm super proud of that. And last but not least, guys, the 10th tenet of my life that transformed me was being stoic. I told you guys that when I was in Italy, I came into the teachings of stoicism, and this transformed my life because I stopped giving my power to outside events or to people outside of me, and I reclaimed that power and stopped focusing on things that I couldn't control. And once I was able to do this, I was able to relax a lot more in life and not take things so personally. And this gave me inner peace. And this right here has been, wow, it's been revolutionary for me, because I was somebody that was always highly emotional, highly neurotic, always caring too much about what people think or said. And there's still times where I have battles where I think about, what's this person gonna think or say? And I have to check myself. I have to go back to number one and check myself and say, yo, who cares? In 3 generations, you're gonna be dead, and everybody you know or that's thinking about you is gonna be dead. And living in that type of mentality has enabled me to be fearless. It's enabled me to drive forward and to not really care. Not caring in a sense where I don't care about anybody's well-being or opinions, but not caring in a sense of where, yo, I'm just gonna do me regardless and nobody has to like it, right? So fellas, ultimately, these are the 10 tenets and ways that I was able to transform my life. We have a long way to go. We're working every single day, but these 10 things right here, it really helped me a lot, bro. It really got me out of some deep, dark places. There's so much that I didn't even tell you guys in this video, but man, just know, if you're fighting right now and you're depressed, you're in a dark place, you're homeless, you feel emasculated, whatever the situation may be, bro, do not stop. You don't lose the game unless you unplug it. You don't lose the game unless you stop it. You feel me? Keep playing the game. Keep driving, keep digging, because I promise you, the man that you're going to become and come out on the other side, it's going to be a cold dude, man. It's going to be a cold brother. So, bro, keep going. I'm telling you, man. Fellas, you know what it is over here, G. You know I know. If anybody know, you know I know. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, keep fighting, man. Keep fighting, bro.
Yeah.
Salute. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Keep fighting for real, man. Yo, we out.
When I get in, I take a shower, read a book and feel empowered. Smoking on that sour, got me counting down the hours, thinking of all the shit that they could do but won't allow us. Then I realized they all some fucking cowards. The world is ours, me and my brother twin like the towers, and we want it now, never later. No more favors done with all these traitors who be haters on the low. They